and friends have been getting along? What are some of the things that have happened to you during this period of time?
Well, Zelda, if you recall, before we had a happy Yom HaAtzmaut, Independence Day, which is on Wednesday, tomorrow night begins Memorial Day for fallen soldiers and victims of terror. And you'll recall that, unfortunately, I lost my grandson in a terror attack just over a year ago, just under a year and a half ago. And my daughter was critically injured and my son-in-law was injured. So before we celebrate Independence Day, the day before, we commemorate Memorial Day for the fallen. And so that's a day that's going to happen first with us, which is obviously quite a difficult day for us here in Israel.
Well, my heart goes out to you and your family. You have gone through so much, but Israel has gone through so much as well. How has this coronavirus affected you as well? Keeping everybody inside, do you feel that it's basically reached its peak and now time to sort of get going again?
Cautiously, yes. We've seen, as I think your previous caller said, we've seen some very good results, improving results, and therefore they're trying slowly but surely to open up the economy while preserving, the risk groups will be still kept under wraps, under lockdown a little bit, and they're trying to slowly but surely open things up. So yes, cautiously we want to continue, and we want to open up the economy and prevent further economic disaster. And Israel's the eye of the storm. There's lots going on all the time: security issues, economy, things going on with Jerusalem all the time. So the sooner we can get back to regular business, the better. At the same time, we've got to be very careful and cautious that we don't spike up again with the corona issues, which can happen if people are not cautious and become negligent.
Well, it's hard to put people, into a small space and keep them there for long periods of time. How is Yom HaAtzmaut being celebrated? 6.8 million Jews in Israel. That's Israel's population. It's grown by 1.9% over the past year.
Well, again, before I answer that, I have to tell you what's happening on Memorial Day, because on Memorial Day, usually all the people that have lost loved ones go to the cemeteries and pay respects to their loved ones, and then at the end of the day, there's a transition ceremony usually at Mount Herzl, and then the festivities begin. This year, as I'm sure you know, there's no public event, no public ceremonies. But more than that, they because of the problem of infections, they are not allowing any of the families to visit the cemeteries on Memorial Day, which is very difficult. And I'm in a group of families, and they're protesting that against the government, because the government, after all, has opened up stores and opened up businesses, and they are saying, why are you opening up businesses and stores but not letting us go to the cemeteries? So that's one issue that's going on, that it's very difficult that people who lost their loved ones will not be able to go and pay respects at the cemetery. At the same time, on Yom HaAtzmaut, usually the tradition in Independence Day is everybody goes out and either does picnics or visits museums which are free, and goes into the national parks and goes on trips and things like that. And obviously none of that's going to happen this year. Everybody's going to have to celebrate it in their own homes, apartments, gardens, balconies, and that's very difficult because families are still not allowed to visit each other, only in exceptional circumstances. So it's going to be a very, very different event this year.
But hasn't Jerusalem been hit harder, Chaim, than other parts of Israel with regard to the virus?
Yes. that is true. In the beginning, the highest rate of infection was the ultra-Orthodox neighborhood of Bnei Brak, and then Jerusalem's ultra-Orthodox neighborhoods also followed closely. And now, in the last few days, Bnei Brak has been very exemplary in its lockdown and its improvements, and Jerusalem now has got a higher rate of infections than Bnei Brak. It's also a much larger city. There are 900,000 people in Jerusalem and only about 150,000 in Bnei Brak. But yes, that situation has caused the government to be more cautious when it comes to Jerusalem. But they are cognizant of the fact that it's only certain neighbors in Jerusalem that have got the real problem, and they're trying to work with those neighborhoods, and at the same time are opening up businesses, stores, and as a matter of fact, in Jerusalem, there's a lot of areas, especially the commercial areas, which almost business back as usual, but obviously people are still walking around with face masks. If you don't wear a mask, that's already a violation, and you can get a 200 shekel fine. And so people are coming back to the stores. Not all the stores have been opened, but many have. And slowly but surely, we're going to make our way back. Hopefully, if we can keep the curve flat and even going down.
Well, you know, there's been so many things, Chaim, that have happened in the last year. It's interesting because when 2019 was fading into oblivion, I was very excited about the prospects of 2020. And it came in with such a fierce wind that I'm not sure how it's going to play out. How is Jerusalem affected by all of this?
You know, we of faith, Zelda, believe that everything is for the good. And certainly we try to find the good that's going to come out of the corona. But as you know, a parallel event that's going on together with the coronavirus crisis is the political crisis in Israel, and the potential national unity government that Prime Minister Netanyahu and Gantz are trying to put together today. That's going to have a lot of implications on the future of Jerusalem. In other words, if the national unity government is formed and the decision to annex parts of Judea and Samaria and the Jordan Valley do get implemented, which according to the agreement should happen in July, that'll have a very significant effect on Jerusalem. And one of the important effects, as you know, Zelda, that I've spoken in your program a few times, that we are trying to solve and deal with the great demographic challenges that are facing Jerusalem today, and that the Jewish majority of Jerusalem has been diminishing significantly over the last few decades, to the extent that the Arab population of Jerusalem has reached 40% of the total population. And we're concerned that we want to keep a strong and large Jewish majority in the city. And one of the ways of doing it is by incorporating some of the satellite towns surrounding Jerusalem, like Ma'ale Adumim, which has about 50,000 people, and the Gush Etzion area, which has over 100,000 people, and Givat Ze'ev, which has over 20,000 people. And the idea is to incorporate them into the larger Jerusalem, the greater Jerusalem, and that way we can significantly increase the Jewish majority in Jerusalem. If we implement the annexation of Area C in Judea and Samaria, those neighborhoods, those towns that we want to incorporate into Jerusalem would already become part of the state of Israel, and therefore that incorporation would be much more viable. So yes, we are on the brink of some significant changes.
Chaim, I want to thank you very much for talking to us this morning. I send my deepest regards to you and your family, and I pray that the future of Israel will be bright and shiny, because if it's bright and shiny for Israel, the rest of the world will follow suit.
Thank you very much, and good wishes to all your listeners. And may we all share good news and celebrate the 72nd anniversary of the State of Israel in health and in joy.
From your words to God's ear. Thank you so much, Chaim Zilberstein. Okay, we're